Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. It was really only a matter of time. Only a matter of time until the two Nigerian brothers, involved in the Jussie Smollett incident, came out publicly to set the record straight. I mean, how long's it been since the Jussie Smollett hoax? I think maybe 5 years at this point. And during most of that process, there was either a court case or investigations happening, and so we didn't really hear too much from the two Nigerian brothers who were involved in the Jussie Smollett hate hoax PR stunt. And honestly, it makes sense why. Probably they were being advised by their lawyers not to speak. But now that the whole thing is over, the Asundaro brothers are spilling the beans, clearing the record. And this comes right as Jussie Smollett is appealing his case, and let's just say he's probably not too happy about it. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so take a look at this video. It's a Fox Nation original. Fox Nation, I believe, is Fox News' online platform.
This is where we waited for Jussie to come before we attacked him. So we got here with 10 minutes to spare, and we had to plan our escape route to survey the land. His building is actually right here, right above the stairs that we're going to attack him at. We made sure we got there at 2 a.m. sharp.
On the dot.
On the dot. We had no phones because he did not want us to bring any phones. He said, so we don't lose them. I don't know if that's really the reason, but you can deduce your own reason. So 2 a.m., he was nowhere to be found. He was not there. So we were like, damn, what do? We didn't have no way of contacting him. He had no way of contacting us. So we waited here for about, what, 4 minutes?
It was about 4 minutes,
4 minutes.
But it felt like forever.
Because it was cold as balls. So I saw him out the corner of my eye, and I was like, okay, that's him. Let's go. We gotta go get this Empire Yeah, that's him. That's him. Is that him?
That's that Nick.
It's that Nick.
Get that Nick.
Oh, he's moving fast. Come on, let's get him.
Get that Nick.
Let's get him. As we crossed the street, we said hey to get his attention.
Hey, Nick.
Hey. He turned around, looked at us, and that's when we started yelling the famous slurs he wanted us to yell. Hey.
Aren't you that Empire?
Hey, Empire Nick. It's MAGA country.
Yeah.
And then he said, what did you say to me? And then that's when I threw the first punch at him. I held the blow because I didn't want to hurt him, of course. So I made it look real, but I held it. Then we started tussling, moving around, and then I threw him to the ground. He wanted it to look like he fought back. That was very important for him because he said, hey, don't just beat my ass, make it look like I'm fighting back and whatnot. So we did that. And then I threw him to the ground, and after I threw him to the ground, he had no bruise. I wanted it to look more real. So then I threw him to the ground. After I threw him to the ground, I used my knuckle and gave him a noogie. So I went like this. Why did I do that? To give him a scar, to give him a mark, to make it look real, like he really did get his ass beat. After I did that, I fake kicked him. I don't know what he was doing. I wasn't paying attention.
That's where I came around with the bleach, the infamous bleach in the hot sauce bottle, poured it on his shirt. Then I finally put the rope around his face. I did not put it around his neck. I just placed it on his face, and that's when we took off.
You know what I found most satisfying about this whole thing? Is that it turned out in the end that the average detractor, the regular person who just wasn't buying the Democrat or the left-wing media narrative hook, line, and sinker, was pretty much right about everything. Transporting back to that specific time in history, I remember this story popping up everywhere, the media gushing all over Jussie Smollett, telling us just how credible his story was, just how much of a poor little victim he was. But just having conversations with the average person, the average friend, most people were thinking, man, this thing doesn't add up at all. And then I remember the security camera footage being released of the two individuals with supposed MAGA hats, and something seemed real off. The prevailing joke at the time was that these supposed two white MAGA hat wearing Republican voter extremists were actually, in fact, two black men. I think most people were very skeptical of Jussie Smollett's tale, and in the end, most of the speculation, pretty much all of the speculation, was 100% accurate. We now have a clear picture picture that depicts the entire series of events, and the Osundaro brothers claim that Jussie Smollett's stated intention was just as self-serving and shallow as initially thought. Quote, he wanted to be the poster boy for activism. He wanted to be the hero for gay people, said Abimbola Osundaro of the motives of Smollett, who was found guilty of disorderly conduct over the 2019 incident just over a year ago, a conviction against which the actor is appealing. You know, I think one of the key elements that had people questioning the legitimacy of this attack in the first place was the timing of it all being a little bit too coincidental. Jussie Smollett had an album that was dropping, I believe, in maybe a couple weeks, if not maybe a month or so, and all of a sudden, right before his album drops, his name is everywhere. Overnight, he becomes some sort of woke activist folk hero who fended off the MAGA scourge, apparently even instructing the two Osundaro brothers to beat on him, but to let him fight back, orchestrating a scene of Jussie Smollett fending off two white supremacist MAGA extremists, so he could be hailed as a hero, like I just stated, standing against the MAGA scourge. It shows you the thought process of the woke grifter. This is why it's so hard to trust and take these activist types seriously. I mean, the depraved mindset, acting out this morally perverted scene where you cast an entire group as hateful racists, roaming the streets at night looking to commit hate crimes. You inject that kind of venom into society, all because you're trying to make yourself a social justice hero. Me, me, me. Fortunately enough though, Jussie Smollett is learning the hard way. He's now finally appealing his conviction stemming from the 2019 hate crime hoax.
Attorneys for Jussie Smollett filing an appeal challenging the actor's disorderly conduct conviction. Smollett's defense arguing that the conviction should be overturned because his right to due process was violated. In 2021, Smollett was found guilty of filing a false report to Chicago police, claiming that he was the victim of a racially motivated attack.
Prosecutor in the case isn't so impressed with Jussie Smollett's appeal. Anticipating that Smollett's attorney would be making those claims again, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has repeatedly said in previous filings those arguments are beyond the scope of Smollett's appeal. The brief also argues that Smollett's rights were violated many times during his trial, including when prosecutors were allowed to reject a gay person and all but one African American from the jury. In other words, Jussie Smollett continues to try to illegitimately take advantage of sensitive cultural issues to his own perceived benefit. Mr. Smollett is clearly getting extremely desperate here, very simply because I think he knows he's screwed. Other individuals involved in the case have completely flipped on him. They've set the record straight, and really, Jussie never stood a chance of getting away with this in the first place because, to be honest with you, he may be ranked pretty high up there in the rankings of the worst criminals in American history. And I don't mean the worst criminal as in like really bad, vicious criminals. I just mean like bad at crime. Leaving a paper trail, paying those two Osundaro brothers by check all the text messages, the video evidence of the two brothers walking into a hardware store and buying all of the gear, the body cam footage at his home, where he left the rope tied around his neck on purpose because he wanted to, quote, preserve the evidence. The whole thing is just so ridiculous. But at least he had the hindsight of telling the Osundaro brothers to not bring their cell phones to the scene of the crime. At least he's better than most of the criminals that I see on the First 48, who are totally oblivious to the concept of cell phone geolocation tracking. He may not be the worst criminal of all time, but he's certainly up there. Jussie Smollett will not win this appeal. His rights were not violated. He was not discriminated against. He's just a self-serving, egomaniac sociopath who didn't get away with it and got exposed. Seems as though this might be the end of the Jussie Smollett saga. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.